everyone. And a good morning it is, because we have such a strong manifestation of support for the American people, especially to build back better with women. I thank the Democratic Women's Caucus, which has been relentless and effective in fighting for progress for women, families, and for America. Lois Frankel, Brenda Lawrence, Jackie Spear, Veronica Escobar here, and Sylvia Garcia.
She's virtual.
Who's coming? Okay. Oh, she's virtual. She's virtual. I want to thank Chair of the Appropriations Committee, Rosa DeLauro, for her relentless, persistent, dissatisfied advocacy for children with the child tax. Rosa being Rosa, she has a lot of irons in the fire, and one of them is a gavel at the Appropriations Committee, which is meeting momentarily. So she and Brenda and Lois will have to be leaving to go. And Barbara Lee? Barbara. Our Vice Speaker, Catherine Clark, who's been relentless on child care. Purpose of this morning is to say to the American people, the Democratic women in the Congress, in the House of Representatives, and with our colleagues in the Senate as well, are relentless and persistent on behalf of America's working families. Women paid a big price during this COVID, many of them out of the workforce, many of them hard to get back in. Why? Because we're caregivers. Whether it's child care, elder care, child tax credit, family and medical leave, all of the initiatives that would enable families to more fully participate in how we go forward, out of the pandemic, into the future, building back better with women. And so I'm honored to recognize our VIPs today, Deborah Ness, National Partnership for Women and Families. Yay, Deborah. Myra Jones Taylor, 0 to 3. And Rosa would want me to say from Connecticut.
Yes.
Not exactly an applause line, but in Connecticut it is, right? And all of the advocates are here. Let us applaud the advocates. I want to say to the advocates, and then I'm going to yield to Madam Chair Rosa DeLauro. All the things that we want to do in Congress would not be possible for the children, for the people. Our inside maneuvering can just go so far. It's the outside mobilization that makes it happen. That's why I said they are our VIPs here. Thank you. Thank you. I have a good deal more to say, but the appropriators have to mark up the bills in a timely fashion, so I'll save it for later. But in the meantime, with great pride, admiration, and the rest, and just remarkable that she has introduced the child tax credit, how many times?
Every year since 2000.
Well, she'll tell you about it. She'll tell you about it, but every Congress for a long time, but Rosa will tell you about that. We thank her for the relentless, I call her the godmother of all of America's children for what she does for them here in the Congress. Madam Chair of the Appropriations Committee, Rosa DeLauro.
Thank you. Thank you, and really it's wonderful to see everyone here today, and really the coalition and the bonding. You know, these folks make it happen, and so I want to say a thank you to the Speaker. Continued leadership on the issues that matter most to women and children. I can remember 2014, our bus tour
Yes.
All right, Lois, there you go. As Madam Speaker, when women succeed, America succeeds. Okay? We have made progress since that tour, but we're here now, and we are still fighting for an economy that supports all families. And I want to say a thank you to the Democratic Women's Caucus, your co-chairs, Jackie, Lois, Brenda, Veronica, and Sylvia. Thank you so, so much for helping to pull the event together and for all the efforts that you make. It's the center of what you do on behalf of our children and families across the country. You know, I've been able to fight side by side with all of the folks who are here over the years to really improve, to expand the child tax credit. It was signed into law by President Biden in the American Rescue Plan. It is historic. It is the New Deal, you know, revisited in so many ways. It is a lifeline to middle-class families, and it will lift 55% of children in this country out of poverty. It doesn't get better than that. And let me just tell you, the first round of those checks, it's not next year, it's not the year after, July 15th. It's in the next 2 weeks. It's $250 to $300 checks, critical to help families deal with the cost of food, childcare, diapers, health care, clothing, and poor and working middle-class families are going to receive the same monthly payments. 90% of our children will receive the same monthly payments, and that makes families feel secure to deal with those expenses that face them weekly or monthly. You know, the expansion and improvement of the tax credit included in the rescue plan. It's wonderful. We love it. We're standing here, but we're going to make it permanent. It has to be made permanent. You can't, children and families have to be able to count on the benefit long after the end of the pandemic. You can't cut child poverty by 55% and eliminate extreme poverty in 2021 and then double child poverty in 2022. That can't happen. So that's what our position is. And we have, you know, the speaker spoke about the future. We have this opportunity. It's not just throwing money at a problem. It's not a Band-Aid. It is building the architecture for the future for children and for their families, no matter their background. And that's why, just because of the final comments that the speaker made about it's the advocacy. It's about the folks out there that we need desperately now. Congresswoman Kim Schreier, she spoke to volunteers at a food bank in her district on how the child tax credit improves nutrition for children, relieves the burden on local food banks that have so much trouble during the pandemic. The California contingent, the speaker, Congresswoman Eshoo, Lofgren, Spear, Chu, Jacobs, they held press conferences, Facebook Live, Instagram Live to spread the word. Congresswoman Lucy McBath is going to be hosting a webinar next week for constituents. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, new cash payments for your children, getting the word out. And Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez and the great work that she has done in this area. So, final comment, get the word out. Hundreds of our Democratic colleagues, and even J-Lo, as I understand it, is getting the word out. We need to get people signed up so that they can receive the benefit that was going to help them transform their lives and to make the child tax credit permanent. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for all of you. It's wonderful to be with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I expect the same round of applause. Okay. All right. Hey. Lolo. Okay, that's right. I'm Lolo. Good morning. I'm Lois Frankel. I'm from Florida. And I thank, of course, all my colleagues, the speaker, Rosa. You know, I love my job. But my favorite time of the week is the hours I spend with my 2-year-old grandson, who does call me Lolo, and my 95-year-old mother, who he calls Nana, and they share a very, very special bond. And I'm here especially for them because my family means everything to me as family means everything to the people. Their family means to the people of this country. See, the group of women you see behind me, we're not just here as lawmakers. As I look around, I see the mothers and the grandmothers. I see wives who took care of their husbands. I see daughters who took care of Alzheimer parents, and a lot of them still have kids at home. So we do support our president's and tonsils. Someone just took care of a son with tonsils this week. We support our president's effort to modernize our physical infrastructure. With that said, based upon common sense and experience, it's my opinion that when working parents wake up in the morning, they think first about who's taking care of their children or their disabled loved ones or their parents who can't fend for themselves before they start worrying about a pothole. And not to say we don't care about our tires. We care about our tires, but not as much as our children. It's undeniable that child care and home care are vital backbones of our economy, but they've become out of reach for people who need to go to work every day. And what's really disturbing is the pitiful low wages we pay the care workers who are overwhelmingly women of color. So our message here today is when those sleek new trains leave the station, the women and the children will not be left behind. And as we build back better, we're going to do so. We'll do it by fixing our roads and our bridges and investing in our children, returning the love of our parents and grandparents, and that means making good quality care more accessible, more affordable, and paying the care workers the wages and the benefits they deserve. All right. Today we stand here for all our children and their nanas. And I yield back.
I want to say hello to everyone, and I want to thank Speaker Pelosi and Rosa DeLauro and my amazing co-chairs of the Democratic Women's Caucus. I stand here today as a proud co-chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus. Today, I lift the voice of women across this country. And if I can lead this moment with one of my sheroes, Aretha Franklin, I just want a little respect. I just want the respect for the women, for the caregivers in this country. I want the respect that we expect for our elders to respect those that we hire to take care of them. I want our most precious commodity, our children, to be given the dignity and respect of a person who is not going home in poverty and starving her children. I want everyone here to know that women, when we come to the mic, we're not here begging. We are 57% of the workforce. And that, do you know that is the lowest it has been since December of 1988? I want you to let that sink in. This pandemic has wreaked havoc on our economy by attacking and depriving women of the opportunity to work during this time. The gains women have made over the last couple decades has virtually been erased during this pandemic. Then you look at who are those frontline workers? Who are those people who showed up when the country shut down? When people stayed at home, it was women, and particularly women of color in this country. They were disproportionately impacted. And I want you to know that we all say the frontliners, we love them, they're essential. Then we should treat them that way. We should give them respect. They are showing up at work with no child care, no benefits, and low wages. They don't get the time to sit at home. The essential workers had to go to work. And today, child care has become for many too expensive, and there are too many child care deserts in our country. Here's our message. I stand here today in my heels with all my other sisters in their stilettos, their gym shoes, or their flat shoes, but we are locking arms. We are women who are showing up and saying this government must hear us, that we are taking back our place. We are going to continue to grow this economy. We're going to continue to care for those who care for us, and we're going to continue to nurture the next generation. And we stand here as women to say, yes, we will build back better. Thank goodness for Joe Biden. We will build back better, but when we build back better, it will be with women. It will be with women in the front and center of this economy. That is why we, the Democratic women, we have been so vocal about the American Families Plan, child care, education, paid leave, and so much more. And this is something you need to write down and understand. As we stand here as women, as leaders in this issue, this is not only a woman's issue, this is a family issue, because child care affects husbands and men and sons all across this country. So this is about fixing what's wrong with America. Let's build back better. Let's join the women and make a difference.
On fire.
All right, to Madam Speaker, to our godmom Rosa, to my powerful co-chairs, to my sisters, and to the advocates, thank you all. We have a real simple question to answer here today. The question is, do we care? Do we care about the economy of the care economy that has frayed? Do we care that only 20% of workers in this country have paid family leave? Do we care that half of the families in this country live in what is called a child care desert? Do we care that half of the home health care workers in this country are paid so little that they are eligible for food stamps? The fact is that while we support this infrastructure bill, and we do, 90% of these jobs are going to go to men. 2 million women have left the workforce as a result of the pandemic. They've left the workforce in such numbers that it's the lowest level of labor participation of women since 1988. This is not a recession. This is a she-cession. We no longer have Leave It to Beaver families. Flash, newsflash, they are not Leave It to Beaver families anymore. 71% of mothers in this country are in the workforce. They need childcare. Their families need childcare. If we care, then it's way past time to invest in childcare. You know, in 1941, this country came together and passed the Lanham Act. And that act provided universal childcare for all families in this country because we needed women to go to work on behalf of the war effort. We did it in 1941. We can do it again. It is time for us to recognize that if children are indeed our most precious commodity, we've got to treat families with the respect and dignity and support they deserve. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Myra Jones-Taylor, who's the Chief Policy Officer of 0 to 3.
What a moment of opportunity. What a moment of opportunity this is to catch up to the rest of the world, or much of the rest of the world, and enact national family policies so our babies and families can achieve economic stability and thrive. The earliest years of child development lay the foundation for lifelong learning and success, but the pandemic put babies and families on a roller coaster ride where we saw emotional stress rise as economic distress increased. And while numerous media stories focused on the challenges of when and how to reopen public schools safely, not a single story was written about the potential collapse of the K-12 system. And that is because a very long time ago, we as a society decided that a strong K-12 system in every community across this country is foundational to the strength of this nation. Sadly, the same cannot be said about childcare. Despite decades of research that has made it clear that high-quality childcare and early learning promote healthy development in young children, we have yet to treat childcare as the public good that it is. For over a year, story after story has been written about the real threat of a total collapse of childcare. Childcare programs across the country in rural, urban, suburban communities, red states, blue states, and states in between continue to face a crisis. They are in an existential crisis. Surveys of providers found almost half had shut down as of April 2020, and some never reopened. Those that did are often hanging by a thread, and thankfully the American Rescue Plan arrived in the nick of time. Thank you all. The pandemic has made it clear that economic stability and economic stability of this nation depend on childcare. Research is also clear that poverty in the absence of economic stability wreaks havoc on young children's development and family well-being. But make no mistake, we've known these problems existed long before the pandemic. Our recent State of Babies report found that before the pandemic, 2 in 5 babies lived in families with low income. But for Black babies, that was 3 in 5. And for Hispanic and Latinx babies, it was more than half. There are babies and families who will benefit most. These are the babies who will benefit most from the enhanced child tax credit in the American Rescue Plan. But we must make it permanent. The Young Child Boost of $300 a month is actually a child development program, helping stave off the impacts of poverty today so we can improve earnings in adulthood later. The benefits of the child tax credit for eligible families are well documented, but the time to expand the CTC and make it permanent is now. I'm going to say a few more words about childcare. A comprehensive childcare program is also long overdue. We have shortchanged providers who earn poverty wages, parents who scramble to afford and find childcare, and young children whose development needs consistent, quality relationships to thrive. It is past time for the nation to invest in the building blocks all of our babies need to reach their full potential. Families are counting on us to get it right. Families like Ashley Marinero, who had to leave her job after finding that the wait list for her child care for her newborn in her community in West Virginia was 1.5 years long. 1.5 years long. And families like Pascal Nguyen, whose monthly bills equaled more than her income after her husband was laid off, are also a problem. We need to think about her as we build back better. Parents and caregivers have carried our country on their backs throughout this pandemic. Now it's time to have their backs and make bold investments that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Deborah Ness with the National Partnership for Women and Families, and I just want to say it is so exciting to be here. And I bet every one of us changes our shoes several times a day, right? This is a time when we've heard now, the pandemic has forced so many women out of the workforce in record numbers. And women stand now to lose everything that they've worked so hard for years to gain. And it includes not just their jobs and their income, but also their health. The pandemic showed us that there's this inseparable link between one's health status and one's economic status. So, and we know that women of color who are on the front lines, who are doing the work, and at the greatest risk, the ones who have the fewest resources to fall back on, who are the least likely to be in the jobs with the benefits that would give them things like paid leave and support for childcare, those are the women who are hurting the most. So I want to put a particular emphasis on the importance of paid leave as part of this building back better that we are doing. It has been 28 years since we passed the Family and Medical Leave Act, which was leave without pay and only reached a percentage of the workforce. So it is time now, when we are in a place where women and men don't get forced out of the workplace because they need the time to take care of a child or to take care of a loved one, to take care of their own health. How many women might not have had to leave the workforce during the pandemic if they had had paid family and medical leave? I think about the countless stories that I hear, the moms who are trying to juggle the online learning and their job at the same time, the sandwich generation that's caught between caring for their older folks and caring for their younger. How about the folks who are caring for their partners who they've been in love with for their entire lives, who now need their support? And what about when those direct line, frontline workers were sick themselves? And we were telling everybody to stay home. What happens when you don't have paid leave and you can't stay home without taking the risk of losing your job and losing your paycheck? So we can't go forward, we can't build back an economy that works for everybody if we are not working to make sure that paid leave is a part of this package. It has to be a given. Paid family and medical leave. And we can't parse it out. We can't do this piece or that piece. It's a package. So also, we need to remember that this is essential to the racial equity and the gender equity that we are striving in this country, because it is the women of color in this country who, as someone just said, is carrying all of us on their shoulders. So I ask you all to work with us. The work is not over. I know the women on this stage, the members of Congress, the advocates who I'm proud to be a part of, and this administration are committed to building back better. Paid leave is an essential part of doing that. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Deborah Ness, and thank you to the National Partnership for Women and Families. Thank you very much. And Myra Jones-Taylor and 0 to 3, thank you very much. As they were speaking, I was remembering what we hear in San Francisco all the time: children learning, parents earning, the child care piece being so essential. Also, I was listening to the speeches, but I could overhear Nydia Velasquez, as the chair of the Small Business Committee, saying, this is entrepreneurship. If women have child care, it contributes to the entrepreneurship of our country. And of course, we think child tax credit is Social Security for children, and that we have to have it, and we have to be predictable and permanent. I just want to say that the House is adjourned now, and members have headed to the airport. But I want to shout out for my members who are still here. Shout out your...
Val Demings, Florida. Gwen Moore, Wisconsin.
Sue McFath, Georgia.
Annie Custer from New Hampshire.
No, I'm Annie Custer from New Hampshire. This is Julia Brownlee from California.
Nikema Williams, Georgia.
And our newest member,
Melanie Stansbury from New Mexico.
The important message here is that the women of the Congress are here to support bipartisanship, infrastructure, and the rest, but we cannot go forward unless we do so with our care and our family parts of the jobs proposal. So just consider this one day. We'll be back until we're finished, and we won't be finished until we do what we are responsible to do for our children, for our families, for their caregivers. So are we ready to again implement what we've always said? When women succeed, America succeeds. Thank you all very much.